half in the bag. Fuck movies.
So, did you hear George Lucas sold Star Wars to Disney?
Disney, really?
Yeah.
Isn't that the company that makes pornos for children? Oh.
Look, it's Mr. Plinkett.
Oh.
Huh. How does he know we're here?
I don't know. Hi, Mr. Plinkett.
Hi, Nancy. Yeah, I'd like to make a deposit in my savings account.
I think he thinks he's in the bank.
Play along. Sure, Mr. Plinkett. We can deposit that money for you.
Oh, good. Here it is, about $500.
Sure thing. I'll deposit that right away. Thank you for stopping at so-and-so bank.
All right, Nancy. See you next month.
Holy shit, we just got a free $500.
What?
Oh, he hasn't left yet.
Oh, I thought you were gone.
No, I'm just about to leave right now.
Okay.
Oh. All right. Well, see you later.
Well, Jay, we got 500 smackaroos here. What do you say we go see a movie?
It's gone.
You both know what's at stake here.
There isn't much road left.
Take the bloody shot.
Skyfall is the 37th James Bond film in the Bond franchise. It stars Pierce Brosnan and Richard Burton. Skyfall is the 47th James Bond film. Skyfall is the 67th James Bond film. Skyfall is the 116th Daniel Craig film in the series of very successful spy films about a character named Daniel Craig. The film stars James Bond and Javier Bardem. Skyfall is the 568th James Bond film in a series of comical films for children. Jay, what did you think of Skyfall?
I thought this movie sucked. I thought the opening action scene was completely over the top. I demand the utmost realism in my James Bond films.
As do I. I expect nothing but a film that makes complete and total sense logically and realistically. I refer to this film as Skyfall. Because it sucked. The performances were bad. It was unrealistic. The main villain sucked. Everything he did was nonsensical and stupid. The actors sucked. In fact, I like to also refer to him as Javier Boredom. Because he's so boring on screen. And I call Daniel Craig Daniel Boredom because he's also boring on screen. I don't know if you noticed this or not, Jay, but in the opening of the movie, there's a chase sequence, and they end up on a train, and James Bond gets inside a claw machine. What's it called?
A cat?
A cat, yeah, the thing that digs up dirt.
Yeah.
And he turns it on, which doesn't make sense. Why would someone leave a key in it?
I know.
And then he turns it, and the bad guy disconnects the train, and he uses the claw to hook the train, and the guy's shooting at him, and the whole time you're thinking, why does that other guy just run away?
Yeah.
I mean, plot hole. I mean, sure, it was exciting and fun and clever and creative and exhilarating, but why didn't the guy just run away? He could have taken that opportunity to run away. I mean, who wrote this script?
That ruined the whole movie for me.
It really did.
Another thing is during that sequence, there was a part where other cars start falling off of the train.
Yeah.
And M goes, "What was that?" And the girl that's chasing alongside him says, "It was a VW, I think."
Yeah.
Like a comical line?
Yeah.
Why would you try and be funny during that particular moment in a James Bond film?
Yeah, you'd think your heart would be racing, and
Yeah.
and it was really unrealistic. The killer's goal in the movie is to try and kill M. He has a beef with her, let's just say it that way.
Yeah.
And he has all sort of computer knowledge, and he can hack and stuff, and he does this thing where he turns the gas on in the MI6 headquarters, and he blows it up. And M is not in the building at the time. Why didn't he just wait till she came in the building?
He knew she wasn't there.
And you know what? Why would he even do all those things with exposing the agents? Why wouldn't he just walk into M's house? I'm sure he could find out where she lives.
Just shoot her in the head.
He's got so much computer access, he could just kick open her front door and shoot her in the face. James Bond got into her house. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, he snuck in. So they're both secret agents. Javier Bardem could have killed her in the first 5 minutes of the movie. How is he getting power to that island where he has all his computers set up? What internet service does he use? Wouldn't the internet service know, like, hey, there's a guy on this deserted island, you know, checking his email?
And where did he get all those henchmen? Why would anyone want to be his henchman?
Yeah. Well, like, where does he get his finances from?
Yeah.
He just escaped from a prison, you know?
He ate a cyanide capsule.
Yeah, and he survived.
And he lived.
Yeah. Where does James Bond clean his suits? I mean, where does he get them, like, dry cleaned in such a quick amount of time?
There's a part where he's disguised at the airport as like a limo driver.
Yeah.
Where did he get the limo driver outfit?
Yeah, exactly. Well, there's that scene where James Bond hunts down the guy from the opening of the movie who stole the hard drive, and he's on a mission in Shanghai to do an assassination.
Yeah.
So he goes through all this trouble, and he goes inside this building, he kills the guard, goes up to the floor that's adjacent to the next building where this assassination target will be. Apparently the other people in the room with the target know that he's going to get shot. He goes through all this trouble to take out this device that cuts a hole in the glass so that he can have a shot. I mean, why not just kick the door open to his apartment and shoot him in the face? Or why didn't those other people assassinate him? Do they think this is some sort of spy movie?
It's like some sort of fantasy spy thing.
Yeah, where one step leads to another, and the villain has these complicated plans and everyone's trying to trick another. I mean, that's a spy movie, and James Bond movies are not spy movies.
No, well, that's the worst part about that scene with the assassin, is that James Bond doesn't even stop him from assassinating the guy.
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't even stop the guy.
No.
And then he tries to get information from the guy, and he accidentally loses the guy's hand
Yeah,
as
I
he
mean,
falls off the building, and he doesn't get any information that he wanted from the guy.
Right. I mean, how dumb can you be to drop him? Like, you're supposed to ask him questions, duh. Well, I guess that James Bond accidentally letting the guy go and fall before he got information out of him was kind of showing that James Bond was slipping in his job as a secret agent who's getting older, getting sloppy, and I guess that was kind of the point of the whole movie, right? So, Jay, what did you really think about Skyfall?
Oh, I thought it fucking sucked.
3 months ago, you lost the drive containing the identity of every agent embedded in terrorist organizations across the globe.
007 reporting for duty.
Where the hell have you been?
Enjoying death.
No. In all seriousness, I was thoroughly entertained by this movie. I thought it was great.
Yeah? Yeah.
Daniel Craig runs funny.
Yeah, he runs like a machine.
Like he has stiff, like, C-3PO arms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it's running in a suit.
Maybe.
I don't usually
he
run
wears
in a
very,
suit, yeah.
very tight-fitting suits to show off that Daniel Craig physique that
Right.
Javier Bardem likes so much.
Right.
But no, I liked the movie a lot.
Good.
It should be noted, I guess, up front that this is actually the first James Bond movie that I've ever seen, ever.
Which is strange for Jay.
It is. It's weird, especially, you know, James Bond is such a big part of pop culture. To not even accidentally see one is odd. You'd have to go out of your way to not see one. But I haven't done that. I just haven't seen one. I don't know how to explain it.
You were too busy watching classic Sean Connery films like Zardoz.
Oh, man.
Instead of the old James Bond films, right?
The funny thing is, for a number of years, after seeing Zardoz, I thought that was a James Bond movie. So going into this one,
see that.
it was horribly disorienting to not see Daniel Craig in a diaper.
Yeah.
And
Where's the giant floating stone head vomiting up guns?
I thought that was Q.
I have seen other James Bond movies, more of the recent ones. I haven't watched a lot of the older ones. I've seen lots and lots of scenes from older ones. I've seen the Pierce Brosnan ones. I've seen all the Daniel Craig ones. I actually kind of liked Quantum of Solace. There's some neat scenes in it. It is
A lot of people didn't like that one.
Yeah, not as good as Casino Royale, and this one is better than both of them. Anyways, I think after the negative kind of response to Quantum of Solace, and then what happened with MGM not making a Bond film and going bankrupt, all that shit that happened, and then they come back, I think there was a concerted effort to make this one a little more back to the basics. And I think we were all getting sick of the, rich European Euro villain.
Well, that's one of the things when you think of James Bond movies, you think of sort of over-the-top villains memorable villains.
Yeah.
And what I really liked about this one was, as someone who hasn't seen James Bond movies, but I'm very aware of all the staples of James Bond movies because it's such a part of our pop culture, that it starts off very much like a James Bond movie. It's very James Bondy. You have the opening action scene, the opening credit sequence, and then at a certain point, I guess sort of in the second act, it kind of shifts gears a bit and it becomes more of a sort of modern kind of thriller, like a Bourne type movie.
Yeah.
And then towards the end, it kind of shifts gears again and gets really stripped down, where it is literally just a couple people in a house in the countryside, like fending for themselves, like fighting off bad guys.
Yeah.
And I liked the way it sort of kept sort of shifting gears like that in a way where it's still James Bond, but it feels sort of fresh.
There's no shame in saying you've lost a step.
Well, the problem is with these new James Bond movies, and it's not really a problem, I guess, it's just something to note, is that you can't really have a villain that's like the old style villains, a comical villain, the guy with the metal teeth, or the old man with the cat, and all these comical supervillains that James Bond is known for, because it's been parodied so much, Austin Powers and all those types of things. And your villain in modern times has to almost always be a super genius who knows about computers and hacking and all that stuff. Because spy work today is all computers and technology and all that. So if your villain is not a super genius who has a supercomputer and is a super hacker, he's kind of, he'll get caught really quick.
Yes, yeah.
So it would be nice to see them write a clever villain that does not use computers. But the last three James Bond villains have been Euro villain, supercomputer guy who wants to manipulate the world's stock market and change this. I think the last plot for Quantum of Solace was the villain wanted to steal water. It was something like that. I can barely remember. I remember the action scenes in Quantum of Solace were pretty good, and I like that. But the plot was kind of like, what?
Yeah.
And this one incorporates that idea of technology well within this own isolated plot.
Yeah, and that's why it worked for me, because I was just watching it, not a James Bond fan, just as an isolated movie.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I get what they're going for here with the Judi Dench M character and James Bond himself getting sort of older and not quite used to this type of world that we are in now.
It's very Star Trek 2, very revenge oriented. The lead character is aging and realizes it, and kind of has a rejuvenation at the end.
They weren't targeting her. They wanted her to see it.
Welcome to the new MI6.
I'm your quartermaster. You must be joking.
Author PPKS 9mm short. It's been coded to your palm print, so only you can fire it. Less of a random killing machine, more of a personal statement.
Q.
007.
I have to say, though, if I were to suggest a negative, it kind of felt like, okay, now it ends. Okay, now it ends.
Oh, really? I didn't really get that vibe from it.
No, when I don't know, spoilers, skip ahead to this here time code. But when they went to the farmhouse, and they have the confrontation, it's sort of like the confrontation is Bond, M, and Javier Bardem.
Yeah.
This will be solved. But then the bad guys show up first, they fight the bad guys, then he shows up in the helicopter, and I thought they were going to have the confrontation in the house as the house was burning, then they go to the lake, and then he sinks in the lake, and then they go to the church, and I'm just like, I'm just like, conclude it already.
See, to me, I don't know, that all flowed well. I guess because I liked the action. And
I like
so it
the
didn't bother me,
actors,
but-
I like the action, I like the scenario, I like everything. And I wasn't bored.
Okay.
I was just like, you could really end this movie at any of these particular locations and still have it have the same conclusion, have it have the same story arc. You know, they could have gone from the church to somewhere else after that. You know, it's just like, okay, we can end it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like I said, back to basics with this one. There were a lot of, which is good and bad in a certain way, because I liked the previous two Daniel Craig movies because they kind of took James Bond in this, you know, new direction. But in this one, it was more like all the winks and nods and stuff, like the shaken not stirred martini, the tuxedo in the casino, James Bond.
Yeah.
He brings out the original Aston Martin car, which I think that's what it was.
Well, that's, the whole
nice
movie
and
kind
simple.
of, and the movie felt like sort of, and it makes sense too, because when you get to the end credits, it says, 50 years of Bond, and this whole movie just feels like sort of a celebration of James Bond as a character and as a franchise, and really sort of it's like an institution at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been around, the Bond movies have been around for half the amount of time that cinema has been around. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah, keeping it fresh, which this movie seems to do, as someone who isn't familiar with James Bond movies, being able to enjoy it and appreciate it.
Yeah.
Mommy was very bad.
I guess we should discuss, this is the first gay James Bond villain. Very, very tastefully done and subtle.
Yeah, that was great.
Without making it funny.
Yeah.
They didn't need to do that.
Or without making it a big deal. Like,
making it a big deal or making fun of it.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't need to do that. It was perfectly done.
Yeah, no, it was good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, hello, pharmacy? I'd like to fill some prescriptions.
He thinks we're a pharmacy this time.
Play along again. Hi, sir. How can we help you here at the pharmacy?
Okay, let's see. Today I got some Vicodin.
Oh.
I've got some Rhythmol. That's my heart medicine. And I've got some Oxycontin.
Oh.
We'll get these filled for you right away, sir. Just have a seat in our waiting room.
That's right.
Okay.
That's...
Okay. And, how about some of these? Yeah, this is good. Mr. Plinkett, your prescriptions are ready.
All right, score again.
Yeah. Senility is right.
I want to meet your employer.
How much do you know about fear?
All there is.
Well, not like this.
It is the first movie I've ever seen with a sensual face shaving sequence.
Oh, yeah, that's been in lots of movies, Jay.
Oh. Was it in Like Mike, starring Jonathan Lipnicki?
Yes. I think I like two different flavors of James Bond movies. There's part of me that likes Schlock.
Sure.
And there's a James Bond movie with Pierce Brosnan called Die Another Day, which is kind of considered a flop, but James Bond is in it, and there's a really great sword fight scene in it. And then in the end, it takes place in an ice hotel in the middle of Iceland.
Okay.
And James Bond drives a car around that turns invisible.
Oh, that's the one with the invisible car. Yes,
Yeah,
I've heard of this one.
he drives it around the ice castle, and then the villain's plot is a giant space laser, and he's going to shoot a space laser down on Earth. And I haven't seen Moonraker. I might like Moonraker. That's James Bond on the moon.
Oh, yes, yes.
So there's a certain part of me that likes the schlocky stuff, but
Yeah.
then on the other half of my brain really likes the realistic Daniel Craig kind of grittier Bourne Identity type James Bond.
Yeah.
Both work to me.
The two survivors. This is what she made us. Everybody needs a hobby. So what's yours? Resurrection.
Yeah, I don't know where they're going to go next, and I'm excited to see, but Whenever I think of James Bond, I was really happy to see James Bond running around London, running through the tube and trying to save London from some sort of disaster.
Well, that was neat to see, yeah, like this elongated foot chase in a subway car. Because you think of James Bond, you think of big exotic locations and sexy ladies, and he's just like in this cramped subway. Like I thought that was a nice change of pace.
Yeah, because there's lots of different action set pieces and types of ideas that you can apply to the Daniel Craig Bond movies and still have them work. The Pierce Brosnan ones got a little silly.
Yeah.
And some of the Daniel Craig stuff is a little more smaller scale, a little dirtier, like him running through a subway.
Well, it starts pretty over the top with that whole train chase sequence, and then it sort of, as the movie goes on, it progressively gets more and more subdued.
The one thing that this one started off with, that Quantum of Solace fucked up. Quantum of Solace also has a car chase opening. I think everyone does. But Quantum of Solace is cars chasing each other.
Yeah.
James Bond chasing other cars. And you have no idea what's going on. You have no idea who's chasing who or why.
Okay.
And this one is just like they're radioing back to headquarters, and M's like, we've got to get that hard drive.
He's got the hard drive. You have to get it back. It's important.
It's very important that we don't lose that. Got it, Mom. And he's driving, and you're like, okay, understood. And in the other movie, it was just like, what's happening? And it was too like, everything was this action, and I hate that. And
this is a little more classic looking.
Yeah, that very, very well-directed characters, well-directed actors, and really kind of tight, mature action scenes.
Yeah.
Less Michael Bay shaky cam craziness.
Yeah. Well, I remember seeing, I don't know where it fits in in Quantum of Solace, but I remember the trailer, and there was an action scene where everything was clearly green screen. And this one was, there's a couple bits, like during the opening where they're on motorcycles and it's clear they're green screened into the background, but for the most part, there's parts where you're like, oh look, real stunts.
Yeah, it looks real.
Real people punching each other, real people driving cars.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
most of it felt real.
Yeah.
And you can't, this is one of those movies that gets a pass as far as like really overanalyzing the plot.
Well,
it's a
James Bond movie.
You have to say it's a James Bond movie. And
there are certain things you look for in a James Bond movie, and I think a really tight story is not one of them.
Yeah.
There is a story, and the action scenes service the story quite well.
Yeah. Well, they actually bothered to showcase James Bond as a character a little more in this one. It had a mother-son relationship, a parental theme going on with M and his James Bond's parents, and there's the old man there, and there's sort of like moving on, growing up, paternal, maternal kind of themes going on, which you don't usually get in a James Bond movie. So, Jay, would you recommend Skyfall?
Absolutely. As someone that's not familiar with the James Bond series and honestly never had much interest in the James Bond series, just as its own action movie, I was thoroughly entertained.
Yeah, and as someone with a slightly more than passing familiarity with the James Bond movies, I also enjoyed it. To give it a critique, I would say it ran a little long. The ending kind of was a bit redundant with finding the conclusion. But good characters, good direction, good acting, good script. It may not be the most believable series of events in reality, but again, as we said, it gets a pass because it's a movie about a fictional super spy.
I just wish that Daniel Craig didn't run so funny. Prescription drugs and beer.
All right, you lousy gas station attendants, this is a stick-up. The bank can't find any of my money, and all of my heart medicine turned into candy.
Mr. Plinkett, you don't think that we're gonna...
Shut up, Hajib! I mean business. Now give me all your money.
Just give him the money.
Okay.
I need it.
All of it?
Yeah.
That's all of it. You never saw me.
Jay, did we just get robbed by Mr. Plinkett?
Yeah, hi Nancy. I'd like to make a deposit.